Hi, and welcome to this unit on video photography. Now, video photography is very similar to regular photography for some of the concepts, and you will see it, however, though referred to as videography, because there are some specific parts of video photography that are different than still photography, and we'll be talking about those in today's lesson. Now, just a quick run through of what you're going to be doing here. You're going to watch this first video on videography, then you're going to take a quiz. Then you'll come back and watch the second video, and that one's called 7 Shots. Then you'll take another quiz, and when you get to that point, that's when you're ready to come into the classroom, get a camera and a tripod, and I'm going to send you out and do your first video. You're going to go out and shoot some video and come back and put it on the timeline, show me that you know what you're talking about. Now remember, in the past, we've already done our video editing, so that part of it should be pretty easy for you to do. But the skills you're going to need and the concepts you're going to need to know are contained in this video. The goal of this unit is to teach you the basics of photography, things that you're going to need to know so that you can put together a good photo, or in this case a good video, which is pretty much the same thing. We're going to be talking about the rule of thirds, we're going to be talking about horizon line, we're going to be talking about a leading line. Then we'll get into some videography terms where we'll discuss specifically headspace and look space, headroom and look space. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the first thing I want to talk about is the rule of thirds. With the rule of thirds, it divides your screen into a 3x3 grid. Now you've probably already seen this grid if you have like an iPhone or some of the other phones where this grid will show up, and a lot of times people turn it off, but you shouldn't be doing that. Let's take a look at a video here real quick and you'll see what I mean. When you're talking about the rule of thirds, you can take a look at this grid here, and this is basically giving us a little tic-tac-toe screen, and the idea behind it is the focal point, that is the point of interest for the picture. Write that down, focal point. The focal point will be landing either on one of the lines or near the intersection of two of the lines. In this case, we've got the two lines intersecting right about in the middle of this teacher's face. Throughout this entire video, we see great examples of the rule of thirds. There it's bisecting the car right across that top line, and in the next shot here we saw earlier, this is showing the teacher. He's hit the focal point is his face, of course, right on the rule of third line. Nice shot of the sockets right there at the bottom. The red car is splitting right down the center. That's what we want to see. Again, right on the line. Things are nice. Here we've got the teacher in the background, but the kids are kind of filling the lower 2/3 of the shot. Throughout this entire video, there's that same interview shot again. Throughout this video, the photographer has shown us some great shots. Both people right on the lines there, looking straight towards the object in discussion. Again, a nice shot of some tools with the foreground being the focus. The engine is centered right in the middle of the shot here. Here we got the tire. It's really nice, filling up 2/3 of the screen. 1/3 is empty. Again, some more tools filling up the bottom 2/3 of the screen. We're back to the interview of the teacher, which is a good strong shot that helps us close it out. And even at the ending, when he's doing his out cue, his eyes are falling right on the rule of thirds line, and that's exactly what we want to see. Now for this next thing we need to know about, it's called the horizon line. The horizon line is a line that goes horizontally, get it, horizon, horizontally. It goes horizontally across the screen from left to right. The main purpose of this line is so that you can help it'll help you keep your picture straight. That is, your picture won't look like your tripod got one bad leg or something. You want everything in the picture to be perpendicular to each other. Now, if you, when you're doing this can be a real line in the picture, or this can be an imaginary line where you just sort of gauge what's going through. The nice thing is when you're setting up your camera with the tripod, you can set this line up by finding something in the picture that has a horizontal line. Let's look at this next video, for example. Now here you can see this is a horizontal line going across the picture. And if you look, it looks like it's pretty well lined up perpendicular to the line on the back wall, and it's also underneath the word calendar there. It looks pretty good. But let's take a look. Let's move this up a little bit and see where the line goes. because there's a much more obvious shot right there when we can see the top picture, the top of the picture frame is a straight line, and our horizontal line is lined up as well. Now, of course, you don't have a moving line on your camera, but you do have the top of the frame of the camera, which you would line up with the top of, in this case, the frame of the photo, and that would help you get a nice straight line. Now, the third thing we want to talk about here today is the leading line. Leading line's a little bit trickier because you're not always going to find one in a shot, but oftentimes you'll see a really good one in a shot, and that makes things look a little bit nicer. What a leading line does is it runs your eye through the photo to the focal point of the picture or the video in this case. For example, let's watch on this video, we see Kenny on the jib here. And if you look at this shot right there, let's go back a little bit. Right at that line, you can see Kenny's eyes are looking at the monitor, and of course the camera is at the front of the picture, and the jib itself, that long metal arm, sort of leads your eye up. We'll show this to you with a little bit of graphic illustration here. Now you can see the leading line actually is going from the camera up to Kenny's eyes, and it sort of has a nice draw to you. It gives the picture a sense of balance as well. And speaking of balance, if we look for a little bit further on in the picture here, if we do that rule of thirds, you can see that Kenny is falling right onto the vertical line on the right side of the rule of thirds, and that the camera is actually on one of the lines as well. So it's giving a nice balance to the picture as well. Okay, this next one's pretty easy. It's called headroom. Headroom is the amount of space from the top of the person's head to the top of the frame. Now, you don't want this to be too small, and you don't want to have too much headroom. Most of the time, kids will have too much headroom because they're working so hard on seeing the subject that they don't look to see that it's not framed properly. Let's take a look at that. Now we're back to the shot of Mr. Raha from that we saw earlier. And the headroom, you can see, is that amount of space at the top between the top of his head and the top of the frame. Okay? It's giving you that enough space that it doesn't look like he's too crowded, but it also doesn't look like he's way down at the bottom. As I said, most kids, most of the time, I'm telling them, hey, you've got too much headspace in that shot. Okay, the final topic for today is look space. Now, look space is a little bit more confusing because you don't think about it when you're taking a regular picture. Again, this is something that's a videography term, but we want to make sure that when we do our interviews, they look right. And so when you're doing look space, what you want to do is make sure that you split the picture into like 2/3 and 1/3 again. But in this case, the 2/3 is the space that's in front of him. In other words, he's looking towards the reporter, as we can see in this shot. He's looking towards the reporter. The empty space that's in front of him is what's known as look space. So we want to have approximately 2/3 of the picture where it's being in the direction that he's looking, and then the remaining third would be behind him. Okay, so the look space is there to show him, it gives the photo a little bit more balance, plus it makes him look like he's looking at someone else other than you, the viewer. He's looking at the reporter. So he's going to be looking slightly off camera, but we want to see his full eyes. We'll get into more of that in a later unit. Okay, well that's all there is for this unit. It was a quick one, but what I want you to do, go take the quiz. You need to score at least an 80% or higher, a B or better on this, in order to move on to the next video. The next video you're going to be looking for is the one that's called 7 shots. So take the quiz, come back and do 7 shots, and then we'll get you that one step closer to being able to go out and do some photography. For now, that's all I've got.
Reporting for 131 and the Southwest Shadow, I'm Madison Moritz.
Take.